Thanks for joining us for another podcast today. With us today is Miriam Jordi, sheet metal worker out of Local 8 in Alberta. Welcome, Miriam. Can you give us just a brief, I'm going to ask you lots of questions. Can you give us just a brief description of yourself or introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah, I'm a born and raised Alberta girl. My parents are immigrants from Switzerland. I had a pretty normal upbringing in a small town, and later in life, when just different challenges started happening in my life, I was working as a single mother, and I transitioned into construction as a sheet metal worker.
That is really great. Yes. And we've been friends for a little while. We met, I don't know, maybe a year ago or so, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we'll get
it
into
was.
that a little bit more
Yeah,
in a bit.
yeah.
But
I know where.
so my first question for you is, how did you get started in the trades? Was there somebody in the family, or did you just say, hey, I'm going to go do this and get started that way?
I was actually working at a renovation company, and I was doing their design work and some office duties. And I just realized, like, I was a single mom. And I had grown up around construction. My dad is a carpenter and he built houses and stuff, so it wasn't totally foreign. But it isn't anything I ever thought of until I really needed the money. So I found that trading up, doing the apprenticeship, and getting my journeyman ticket doubled my income.
Absolutely. Did you take courses? Were there courses for women that you took?
Yes, Jill, actually. Sorry, I'm a nervous speaker, so my brain just jumps all over the place.
You're
Yeah,
fine. Thank you for coming. I know this makes you nervous, but I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
oh, no problem. So yeah, while I was working at this renovation company, this recruiter reached out to me about joining a women in trades group. So back then, that was Vermilion Energy and the YWCA did a program together, and it was actually a pretty strong program that lasted for, I believe, about a decade, and they pumped out some grads earlier on. So I graduated that program, I believe it was 2011 or something like that.
That's really great. So you took your trade, how long is your trade? 3 or 4 years?
It's 4 years, and I actually took 5 years to get it. I was just going through some difficulties in my last couple of years of trying to complete it, just on a personal level as a mother, and I was going through a divorce and things like that. So I stretched it out a little, but that's the beauty of trades is
Exactly. Yeah.
it's so flexible for parenting, and for me it was awesome.
Right. Yeah, it is very flexible. I mean, apprenticeship across the country and down into the United States it's different in every province and in every state. But yeah, it is very flexible. I mean, I can relate to you because I'm an Alberta born and raised girl too. And
Yeah.
did the same apprenticeship kind of idea, different trades, of course. But yeah, it's a really flexible program. I actually went way back when I used to work with people that were like a first year for like 5 years, and then they started saying, no, no, no,
Yeah.
you can't do that. You have to be reasonable, get it within a certain couple years, right? But if you need an extension, they're willing to do that. And that's another good thing about joining the trades. So
Yes.
question is, how far have you explored your trade?
I've just taken it. I've become a journeyman in 2017, and I guess it's 2020. So I've been a journeyman for only 3, 4 years here coming up, and it's I've done residential and commercial, and just try whatever. We had a low economy right after I graduated, so I did end up doing things that I hadn't learned in the 5 years of my apprenticeship. So that was interesting and good. And it was a little tricky to find people that were willing to take on a journeyman that didn't know anything about furnaces in my trade. But if with the right attitude, I think people will train you. And that's the nice thing, is that you're in this such vast field when you choose a trade, that when commercial bottomed out, there was more residential work available. And if you're willing to try something new and go back to square one for a little while till you get the knowledge built up, then you have these opportunities to still learn and grow throughout your career.
Well, and that's one thing that we all, it seems to always come up in the podcast, is you never stop learning. Like your
No.
trade can be, no matter what trade you choose, your trade has so many different avenues you can go down, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
exactly.
you're still quite new in your trade. I mean, I could see you as a foreman easily or supervision easily, right? Because you're organized and stuff, which we'll get into in a minute for some things that you
Yeah.
started. But next
Oh
question is,
yeah.
what is your
Sorry.
favorite aspect of your trade?
Um, Food, just the variety and the fact that, I mean, I come from a really strong arts background. So I was a painter and I loved working with my hands. I've done every kind of art. So from pottery to painting to making paper, whatever. So my trade has a lot of these transferable skills in it. We do a lot of things with snips and bending things, shaping, using machines to form, a lot like origami, to be honest, right? If you have sheet metal, you can make a box out of it, or you can make cupboards out of it, or you can fold it in so many different ways and weld it together. I mean, it's just so many processes. So that's what I love about it, is because I go to work and I used to be so into art and I thought that I could never stop doing it. I wouldn't ever stop doing it. And the funny thing is that I think I learned that for me, art was all about the process. It's just that I like doing things with my hands. And this job, the process of doing this job makes me very happy. It makes me feel like I'm creative and just using my hands like that to solve problems just the what's the word for it? Like you got to be resourceful like an artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's so true. And anybody that is creative that likes to work with their hands, I think would be really good in any of their trades of choice.
Yeah.
But yes, yours is very creative, much more than mine. A lot of times I just stick two pieces of pipe together. Boring sometimes. But yeah, you do. I mean, you get to create, another thing that comes up a lot is it's a fulfilling job. Like you
Yes.
said, when you're creating something and you go home and you're like, hey, I really, made some interesting things today, right? And
Yeah.
that might not be every day, but you're still working with your hands and creating and making this, pretty
Like
cool thing. Even if nobody will ever see it, you made that.
that's right. Just tons of problem solving. I mean,
Mhm.
we all wish that when we arrived on the job, everything was just laid out and perfect and the pieces fit, but that is often not the case. And we're working around other trades and different things happen where you have to make adjustments and you have to be creative enough to pull something off that in the end looks still professional. And yeah, I absolutely love what I do.
Yeah, yeah, and it shows for sure. So next question, what obstacles have you overcome along the way? I mean, you're a single mom, I'm a single mom. There's
Yeah.
right there, I know.
Yeah, along the way. So most of my apprenticeship was really positive, as best as it could be. I think that the main obstacle for me over, the past 8 years has been kind of like navigating the social landscape and learning how to, because I was not brought up around a bunch of like cussing men, and that's okay with me. All of that's fine. I'm not judging it. But you had to kind of growing a thick skin or whatever you want to call it, which is getting to be something that the industry is changing on its own as we come into 2021 here and we're becoming modern era people. It was pretty backwards when I started, so I can't imagine how backwards it was when you started, but I have seen changes in leaps and bounds by way of the improvement for women in the trades. And just, it's not appropriate to say some junk to ladies, okay?
Hmm.
Some women can handle it if they want to, but a lot of us, we didn't need to be told things that we got told, and
Yeah,
a lot of it is put
yeah.
downs and things like that. So I definitely experienced some of that, but the reason why I'm still here is that 90% of it was awesome and people who supported me. So I'd like to
Yes.
strongly point that out.
Yes, yes. And I mean, obviously there was, I mean, we have that in common. And I think that happens to a lot of women where, sometimes people just have a foul mouth and they don't realize the other people that are in the room. And that goes for supervision too, because if supervision, whether they're male or female, they don't want to hear that talk either. But what
Yeah.
I used to say to people was, if you wouldn't say it to your mother or your sister, don't say it to me.
Yeah, that's a great point. And a lot of it was also, I would have to just say it wasn't just talk, it was actual, uh, guys saying things to me about, being mad at me, saying that I got opportunities just because I was a woman and stuff like that. When I know what I went through, and in the first couple of years of my apprenticeship, I was busting my ass. And I was, and I was
Yeah.
super determined, and that was my goal. And I looked at these guys and I was like, look, you're criticizing me for getting opportunities, but I'm working so hard for them. So
Yes.
when you just think everything should be given to you and you're not seeing the whole picture, you just think like, oh, she's a girl and so she's batting her eyelashes and getting her way or whatever. And
Yeah.
but over time, I think like my brothers in the trades got to know me and trust me and respect me, and it became less and less of an issue. Also, as I get older, it's less and less of an issue. And also, as
Yeah.
I learned how to wear Carhartts instead of nice fitting jeans, it's also less of an issue.
Okay. All right. It's really funny because and some people just they're not used to seeing women on the tools and on our job sites and stuff, so they really don't know how to react and they just assume things. And I really
Yeah.
hate it when people assume things like, oh well, she's here because we have to hire women here. Well, no, I'm also a person that busted my ass to get the respect that I deserve, and I still do. And I have had guys come to me and they say, hey, so and so over there was just trying to diss you. They've never met you before. They made some assumptions, and I just gave them a big what for. And I
Yeah,
want you to know,
absolutely. Like
we
our
listen.
brothers, right? These are our
Exactly.
tradesmen brothers, and they did that in school for me. Guys would stand up for me, or I've had men be really proud of my accomplishments and like boast about me to other guys, like, you should
Mhm.
see her. She can do this and she can do that and she can weld. And so,
Yeah.
like I said, 90% of the time it's been all good. It's
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
you know what, though, when you go from working in mixed environments to where it's just not even a question. If something inappropriate happens, everyone would go, dude, what? Like,
Yeah.
but in trades, I mean, that's what I had to learn, is just I had to learn how I was going to react was a lot of it. And
Yeah.
some of it is standing up for yourself and learning how to kind of call people out assertively so that you're not turning it into a big stinking deal, and like doing something assertive instead of something aggressive often just solves your problem right on the spot. Having the guts to call a guy out within the first day. Like if you
Yeah.
can't do it right then, like go back the next day, but don't let it like fester
Yeah.
inside of you for 2 weeks and turn it into a
Absolutely.
problem.
Well, yeah, you have to nip it in the bud. Right as soon as it happens, you say your little, what you need to say, and get everybody on the same page right away. And then it doesn't become an issue usually, right? Like
Yeah,
I rarely have
exactly.
ever had to, if I nip it in the bud, I've learned that, it doesn't reoccur, right? And a lot of times, like I've been to a lot of sites now, a lot of people know me where I just don't even have issues on job sites anymore because they know, oh yeah, okay, well I saw her at the last job site and she worked hard, she pulled her weight, all of that stuff. So we still, unfortunately, in this day and age, in 2020, this is the last day of 2020, but in this day and age, and 2020 can leave anytime
Yeah,
soon. If it
really.
wants to go early, I'm fine with that. But in this day and age, we really shouldn't have these battles, but we still do. And it's people like
Yes.
you and I that get out to these job sites, we work our butts off, and we prove that women can do, trades, and it's not an issue. We enjoy it. It's a really wonderful job for us. You and I being single moms, we know that it's really good financially. I don't push people to get into the trades because it's good money, but it is good money. We get benefits. You and I are both
Yeah, I
women.
mean,
We get benefits and yeah, pension
how
plan and all that good stuff.
how could I have explored this option if I had to go to university for 4 years straight? I couldn't
No,
have. So
no.
working on the job and then being able to, I mean, it's a lot different to have to find childcare and stuff for 3 months of the year than it is for all year round and financially somehow support yourself for a university
Yeah,
education.
right.
So, I mean, this type of career path, yeah, like my income has doubled since I was working at a desk job, and
Yeah, and
and I was skilled doing that too. It wasn't just like
yeah.
a I don't know, just a little desk job. It was design work and doing real things. So
Yeah, but a lot of people too, if they don't already know, I think it's important to point out that when you're in the trades, you work for usually 10 months and then you go to school for 2 months. And if you're welding is a 3-year trade, so you only go to 2 months to school for 2 months a year for 3 years, and then you're done. And usually you have either saved money or you get EI, employment
and
insurance during that two
not to
week, 2 months.
mention, oh sorry,
That's
but
okay.
not to mention I pulled in quite a few bursaries because guess
Right.
what? Tradespeople do not like filling out paperwork and they avoid things like that like the plague. So if you have kind of the ambition to look up the different bursaries and grants that you could qualify for, and you sit your butt down and you want that money, so you spend the 3 hours to do the work. Every year that I went, I was rewarded. I said it was worth $100 or $1,000 an hour to me to do the
Yeah.
work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it helped.
Absolutely. And in Canada right now, we have enough just government grants, never mind like provincial or other grants that are or bursaries that are available. Up to $10,000 you can get for women in trades right
And
now, right?
that's awesome. That's new,
That's
but I mean, take advantage of it
one
because
would,
right? These are, I've heard negative things about it from different guys, like, oh, another one for the ladies. But you know what? When we're trying to increase something that's been a really unequal environment for just ever, decades and decades, like women have been trying to get into, like, get these numbers up for, I heard that in the 70s it's the same as it is now, and we've only
yeah,
just seen progress, and we're talking like 3%, and on a good day when it's 5% they're including like office staff. So
yeah,
we're finally in the last year seeing quite a change in numbers because, Jill, because you stood your ground, didn't get bullied out, and a lot of women have been bullied out. I know them personally, so I'm not just making up things, but I do know women that, they would have stuck around, but I mean, the guys would say that they were too sensitive. Well, you know what? It's just a job. So maybe you
mhm,
shouldn't have to be, you shouldn't have to grow a skin as thick as an elephant to be able to go to your job every day when you've got to
yeah,
go home at night and still have a life, right? So,
exactly, exactly.
but
So yeah.
I'm excited about the changes that have happened.
Yes, and you're a big part of the changes too, which leads me to the next question. Did you have other women you could look to for support when you were in your journey?
Uh, yeah, I was lucky because I worked with a couple of sheet metal ladies, and uh, we supported each other. There were three of us, maybe even I think at times there were 4 or 5 of us at the company that I worked at, and we really did stick together. And there was an older woman there too who, she didn't tolerate stuff. Like I really loved having her. I think the older women have changed it for the younger women. Um, and I had a woman at school, a teacher at school that I am still in touch with as a mentor. But here's the problem is that when you go through times in the industry, a lot of women don't have any support. And there were times where I didn't feel that the women I had around me were maybe like the giving me the right answers to questions that I had about things that were going on for me. So I was definitely always looking for more support because the more the merrier, really, in this kind of occupation.
Exactly. And you just started a new group. I want you to
Yes.
talk about your new group because it's absolutely fantastic. I'm a part of it too. And that's how we met and became friends. But yes, you share the story. Tell the
All right.
reasons why. Start from the beginning, please.
Okay. So I was going through I'm gonna not get into that, but I was going through a personal struggle in the trade that I chose, and I hate to leave it so elusive, but it's just not something I love to talk about. severely wronged in a way, and those who know me know. And I was looking for just much more support than I had ever been looking for in the trades. And I wanted so badly to have a group of women around me that knew what I was going through. And sorry. So I I finally I had gone to BC to look for work, and out there I noticed that they had a different kind of support system in place. And one of the things that they had was a Facebook group for women in trades, BC Women in the Trades is what it's called. So I joined that, and I couldn't believe it. I mean, women were asking questions and getting answers and mentoring each other. And that's what I knew needed to happen in Alberta. I knew that our industry was a little bit behind because they were pumping out grads, women in the trades grads, but they weren't giving them the kind of mentorship that they needed because it was like a foreign environment. Like you can't just throw young girls out to the wolves and then not give them a support. So since that's something that I had been missing so bad, when I came back to Alberta for a job, I I took the plunge. I really actually wanted someone else to do it. I'm not usually, I was waiting around. Come on, like, when's this going to happen? Somebody should start this. And I had complained about it so many times that my son, Kelso, actually one night said he was with another sheet metal worker friend of mine, and they asked me to start it that night. So Kelso gave me, I was feeling kind of technologically impaired, and he showed me how to set it up on Facebook, and I started the group, and that was last October. So, like you said, it's January 1 tomorrow. And at first, I just couldn't believe the numbers that it was pulling in. It's across Alberta. It's called Alberta Women in the Trades. And it's, I guess today it's over 1,300 of us. And so to me, that's what's cool about it is that just a little over a year ago, so 2020 was horseshit. But
Yes, it
this,
was awful.
this is also the year that 1,300 tradeswomen found each other and have a stronger voice. So
All in the province of Alberta, which
yeah,
is so amazing because we can relate within the rules of apprenticeship in Alberta, which is it's very different across the country. All provincial, all women in trades, a variety of trades. Like that's how I met you. Had you not had this group, I would never have met you. We're not even in the same trade, you and I, right? And it's
no,
just everybody is so positive. I mean, there's going to be one rotten apple per every truckload, but I mean, it's all positive. It's all
yeah,
positive, and I can't wait to see what it becomes in the new year. I know we have we might have a meeting coming up in about a week.
yeah,
So we're
yeah. We
gonna
have
see
some
if,
plans.
yes,
Um,
yeah, you have
yeah,
some fun. You created
I
this and it's just wonderful.
thank you. I also want to point out that Jill, you organized the very first uh, tradeswomen in-person meetup in our province, the very first. So, I mean, that was cool. I remember we put the word out there and you invited some ladies, and we just didn't even know because at the time, I think maybe we had 400 people in the group or something. Wasn't very much. It was a lot for us because we'd only ever met a handful of tradeswomen. And
Yeah.
so when you put the call out, I think you got 15 or over. I don't know, have the
Yeah.
picture, but it was a lot of us, and we were all kind of excited. We knew it was a first.
It was really great, and it was in person, so it was all before COVID hit. So
Yeah,
and it was just before COVID hit. But yeah, I think 15 people showed up, and it was so exciting. Like the bar, we met in a pub, and we only planned for I think maybe 10 people, and it was like 15, 16, 20 people ended up coming, and it was so exciting. We all got to meet each other in person and visit, and it was really really good. And it was only maybe 2 hours. Like it was such a great thing, and we hoped to keep doing it, right? Have one in the
yeah,
Calgary region, which we both live in the Calgary region, and then we were hoping for maybe an Edmonton group and stuff, and then it all kind of shut down. But yeah, it'd be nice to maybe do virtual or something. We need to start, we need to have that discussion. But
yeah, we do.
we'll have that meeting in a week or so virtually,
Yeah,
of course. But
yeah,
Yeah, so my next question I'm going to ask you is what does a day in your life look like? I know where you're working now. Maybe you could mention that because it's a pretty kick-ass job you got there.
Yeah, I'm lucky. I can't say much about the job. I'm working at the Calgary Cancer Center, and they don't allow us to talk to media about what's just the ins and outs of my day. So, other than I love the work and it's a beautiful building, and if you want to see what it is, there is a virtual tour on YouTube called the Calgary Cancer Center virtual tour, but it's a beautiful building. And yeah, it's one of the biggest projects and possibly the biggest project going on right now in Western Canada. So personally, I really love commercial work and I love being on these big projects and I love hospital work. The standard is way up there when it's hospital work and also including even just behaviorally, like they expect you to be professionals. So that's my kind of job.
Well, and you know, it's really, excuse me, it's really cool to be part of such a massive job that's going to be there for hundreds of years, long after you and I are gone, right? And you will
Right.
forever be able to say to your kids, your grandkids, and whoever will listen, or even just in your own head, say, you know what, I was part of that project, and you know what you worked on, even if the areas you didn't work on, you could say like that is one cool thing that I could have been that I was a part of, right? And it's
Yeah.
that's that other part of pride of being a tradesperson that people maybe don't understand until you're in the trades, right?
Yeah,
But
oh, it is. It's so true.
it's
We
awesome.
get we do have a lot of pride. It's a very, very gratifying work to, at the end of the day, walk away from something. And, a lot of people in different types of work can't actually see what they built that day.
Mm.
So, I mean, that can lead to frustration too, because I know when I've had nothing, there was a day on a job site a while ago where I did nothing but set up and take down my ladder that day because of all the headaches and running around the job problems. And I mean, then you feel the opposite of that because you say to yourself, I did absolutely nothing today. But
Yeah,
most
but
of
you still
most
got
of the,
paid.
yeah, I got paid. And but most of the time you walk away and you go, yeah, I put those things together and I got that room up and running and I fixed that problem and I installed things. Yeah, I mean, I loved
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so typically you get up fairly early in the morning. Your day starts quite early, but then usually depending on your shift, it ends quite early. You can go home, spend time with your family, do whatever. And there's also overtime available, right? Which you're paid
Yes,
properly for, right?
I
You
am.
get
I
time and a
I work.
half and double time
Yes.
as you know.
That's right, because I work
Mhm.
for a union, and that's not always been the case. If you don't work for a union, sometimes you do put up with like not being paid properly, things like that. But yeah, working for a union has been a game changer as well. So I'm not sure if like
Yes.
the whole industry has changed as rapidly as I think I've seen it changed, or also perhaps just being in a part of a union, there's just a different vibe altogether. Your rights are properly looked after. There's just like a new level of respect, and everything is done by the book. So, yeah, if I'm working overtime, I'm getting paid overtime.
Yes, and that's the way it always should be, no matter what. Okay, so I only have a couple of other questions for you. So, do you have any advice for others that may be looking to join the trades?
Hmm. Uh, do it. If you're looking to join the trades, there are programs available. There's a program in Edmonton, the Women Building Futures. There's a program in Calgary, the Empower program. There's a program in Red Deer. This is obviously all Alberta, but um, Powering Trades, I think, is the one in Red Deer. But if we're looking outside of Red Deer and globally, there are programs popping up all the time that are funded, that are directed at getting women's numbers up in the trades just to condition the environment and make it something that's commonplace. So take advantage of those. They often will show you a bunch of different trades that you could try out, sort of a trade sampler. and they give you a much better hands-on understanding of what's available. So I definitely would suggest women try that out if it's available to them. And if it's not, you're in some small town and you just want to get your foot in the door, just start applying everywhere and go get yourself a job and try something. And if you don't like that one, there's hundreds of trades to try. So it
Absolutely.
doesn't have to be one thing.
Yes, you covered it all there. That's a perfect answer. That's great. So final remarks are yours. Is there anything you would like to share that we haven't talked about, or anything else you'd like to include today? The floor is yours.
Um, I can't really think of anything actually. I should have made a plan. But
No, no, no,
no,
no.
no,
Well, we have to close so much.
in conclusion, I love what I do, and I'm thrilled that the community has grown around all of us and that we are so supportive. I guess I'll say that I've honestly never met a group of women that have been more like the good kind of sisters. Like I've honestly never met such a pack of strong, amazing, mothers, daughters, aunts, all of us. Like we really do support each other and stick together. And I I think that's where the change is going to be made, and I think that's where it has been made, is the selflessness of women who came before me, who stood their ground and spoke up. So keep doing those things, ladies, because it makes a huge impact down the road.
Yes, absolutely. And that's why I named the business what I did, Trailblazers, right? There's a
Right.
lot of women that came before us, and you and I are here now. So we need to make sure that we keep plugging ahead and showing companies that, hiring women is not, we don't ask for anything special. We do want our own bathrooms. We do want clothes and gloves that fit, and we do want the respect of other as a tradesperson. If you're going to
Yeah.
respect that person, respect me too. If I'm doing my job just as good as the person beside me, I deserve that respect. And I think with that respect, it'll just be a more comfortable environment for other women that come after us, right?
It is.
And we
And
do need to share our stories.
we do. You know what? I guess I do have something else to say.
Sure.
One of the things that I think about, I thought about this way before. So right when I started this apprenticeship, I recognized that we needed to be more visible because this is totally viable work for women, and like it's a solution to a lot of women's problems. Like, don't work retail, become a carpenter, and all of a sudden you can own your own home or whatever. So the support that we've built in has been it's been incredible. And what we have to remember though is that when you open the floodgates, more and more different kinds of personalities of women are going to show up. And you know what? We have to support it. We have to look at them and not have a problem that they're getting younger and prettier. Like, I don't know about you, but I have had one or two experiences where I was like, "Excuse me, lady, like what is your problem with me?" when I first showed up on the scene. And so, as mentors and older women that have paved this, they're not going to necessarily appreciate all that you've gone through. And that's okay, because the bottom line is that we created change. It's lasting change, and it's change that makes these young ladies' lives better anyhow.
Yeah.
But we can't resent them when they come up and they are outdoing us, outshining us, because these are our daughters.
Yeah.
and we want them to outshine us. That's the whole
Yeah,
point. We had it worse,
absolutely.
and you had it worse than me, and those ladies behind you had it worse. So I'm so glad that there are girls that show up and are like, what? There's no problem here. You know what? Good. Then I've done my job.
Exactly. Yes. Excellent point. Excellent point. And I think, I'm going to say it for 1,300 women. Thank you very much for starting Alberta Women in Trades.
Thank
I
you.
think I think that's going to be a big change for, like you said, the next generation. It's good for us right now because we get to actually see women in other trades that we wouldn't see on job sites, because you're bringing all those women from all over Alberta into this group, and it's such a positive place where you feel comfortable to be able to ask those awkward questions. And you're asking 1,300 sisters, not just
That
two that are on site. So good
that's
on you
right.
for doing that. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for doing that. It's going to make a difference, probably more than you realize.
Thank you.
It's that support
I
that women
needed it
need.
too. It's for all of us. We
Yeah.
we needed we needed to see this change. So
Yes.
I'm happy about it too.
Yes. Well,
Thanks,
thank you very
Jill.
much. Okay. I'm going to end the podcast, but don't go anywhere. I want to talk to you afterwards. Thank you so much for sharing your story with everyone. Take
Thank
care.
thank you,
Happy
Jill.
New Year.
Thanks for thinking of me.
Absolutely. Your story is amazing and it had to be shared. So thank you for agreeing. And thanks everyone for joining the podcast. And I'll put out another podcast real soon. Miriam, your podcast is going to be shared, the first one of 2021. So
Wow.
let's
That's
start the
awesome.
new year off on a positive note with your
Sweet.
story. Thanks
That's
so
great.
much.
Thank you.
I'll
It's
talk
an
to you
honor.
soon.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye now.
Bye.